The gauntlet has been thrown down. Late this morning, Barack Obama made the announcement.
Today I am nominating Chief Judge Merrick Brian Garland to join the Supreme Court.
Merrick Garland, 63 years old, currently Chief Judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals of D.C., where he served since '97. He's got 2 degrees from Harvard, clerk for 2 appointees of Republican President Eisenhower, was a supervisor with the Justice Department in '95 when he helped put away the Oklahoma City bomber. Some of what Obama highlighted today as he challenged Republicans in the Senate.
To suggest that someone who has served his country with honor and dignity, with a distinguished track record of delivering justice for the American people, might be treated, as one Republican leader stated, as a political piñata, that can't be right.
The president also went out of his way to single out one Republican who had spoken highly of his pick in the past. Here's what the longest-serving GOP member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Orrin Hatch, had to say about the nominee just last week. Obama could easily name Merrick Garland, who is a fine man, but he probably won't do that because this appointment is about the election. So I'm pretty sure he'll name someone the liberal Democratic base wants. But he did pick Garland. Yet Hatch had this to say today.
The confirmation process regarding the Scalia vacancy will be deferred until after the election season is over.
So, now what? Joining me to discuss all this are Andrea Cabral, former Suffolk County Sheriff, Mass Secretary of Public Safety. Good to see you, Andrea. Kevin Martin's an attorney who was a clerk for Justice Scalia on the Supreme Court, also clerked in the U.S. Court of Appeals, the D.C. Circuit, and argued a case in front of Garland. We'll talk about that in a minute. Good to see you. He's now a partner at Goodwin Procter. Renee Landers, Suffolk University law professor and constitutional law expert who knows and has worked alongside Merrick Garland. Good to see you as well. Start with you. So we've learned a lot about this guy in the last 8 hours. Tell us something we don't know from your personal experience in the Clinton Justice Department, right?
Yes, definitely in the Clinton Justice Department. Our offices were right down the same corridor with each other. And he's very diligent, hardworking, and just a really, really nice person. And I think, would bring, some warmth and empathy to the court.
Normal human being.
A normal human being.
Just big brain.
I mean, there's one story. We had taken our children to see the Christmas decorations one year at the White House, and there was candy on the way out, and one of his kids got, candy all over the hands, right? And he had to borrow wipes from somebody else who was there so that the sticky fingers didn't get all over everything.
Like you
Just
and me.
like you
Exactly.
and me with our small children.
What was he like arguing a case before?
Look, he's very smart. He asked tough questions at both sides, and he was not partisan. We had a Democratic administration from the state of Vermont on the other side in our case. We had environmental groups. He asked tough questions of them and ultimately ruled against them. This is a guy who really looks at the law and applies the law.
Yeah, that's where I want to go with you, Andrea. No one's going to question this guy's qualifications. No one is going to suggest he's an ideologue. He's pretty tough on criminal defendants, which won't make liberals happy, but he's pretty tough on gun control in a pro-gun control sort of way. So he seems to call him as he sees him, no?
Right. I think that's absolutely true. And I don't think that anyone is harboring any illusions that he is not precisely, for the reasons that the president, I thought, fairly elegantly laid out today, precisely the kind of person that you want on the Supreme Court. No one is harboring any illusions that this is anything other than another attempt to thwart or nullify Obama's presidency.
And obviously, but it seems to me, Kevin, this is strategically brilliant on the part of the president. One, the guy's a moderate, as we just discussed. 2, he's 63, so he's not, how old was Roberts, 45 or something? Yeah. He's not going to serve through 10 presidents. He was confirmed 76 to 23 in '97, including 32 Republicans. It's smart, no?
It is smart, and this seems to be Obama's attempt to provide a consensus candidate. This is about as far to the middle as you can get out of a liberal administration. At the same time, he's still far probably to the left of what Justice Scalia was or what a Republican president might appoint next year if there is a Republican
president.
But
there's not a Republican president. There's a duly elected Democratic president who feels this is the right guy.
That's true, but with a Republican Senate, and they have the right to vote no, just as President Obama tried to filibuster Justice Alito, who was very qualified,
he did,
and voted against Justice Roberts.
Now, when you say have a right to vote no, they also actually technically have a right not to even hold a hearing or not to even have courtesy visits, right?
The Constitution says nothing about the Senate's internal procedures.
Even though Kevin says, I think correctly, that this may not be what a Republican would embrace, even though you might argue otherwise, this probably wouldn't have been the man that Barack Obama embraced had he not had a deal with the Republican recalcitrance here. That's a fair statement, isn't it?
That's probably true, but I think the president has this track record, which is frustrating for some liberals, of kind of negotiating himself against himself with the opening, foray of the, in starting the bargaining.
So do you think he made a mistake?
No, I don't think he made a mistake, because I think this is the reality we're dealing with. And I think the Republicans, all of theirs is banking on the fact that, the hope that they will have a Republican president who will make an appointment who would be more consistent with Justice Scalia's ideologies and approach to constitutional law. And but I think that if that's not going to happen for them, then this is probably as good a deal as they're going to get out of a Democratic president.
Let's put up a Pew Center poll of the American people overall, whether people want there to be hearings. We'll see this in a second. 56 to 38 people in favor of that. Should that matter? I mean, John King from CNN, who's far more down the middle than I am, was on our radio show right after Justice Scalia died. He said the Democrats would be doing the exact same thing if Mitt Romney was president and the Democrats had a majority. And as Kevin just said, this current president is senator, filibustered Alito. Joe Biden, as we all have heard now 10,000 times in '92 when there was no nominee, said it's June, let's not do it. It's an election year with the elder Bush. Chuck Schumer, soon to be the majority leader, the Democratic leader in the Senate, did the same thing in 2007 under the younger Bush, not even 2008. Democrats would be doing the same thing, wouldn't they?
Well, here's why I think it matters, and here's the irony. So Republican establishment or Republican elites are trying to thwart Donald Trump's nomination. Donald Trump's argument is, but this is the will of the people. Republican voters have said that they want me here. That's exactly what they're doing here, because the majority of people want there to be at least a hearing so they can see this candidate for themselves, and the same group of Republican establishment types are trying to thwart the president. So this may be the only time that Democrats and a majority of the American people and far-right Republicans are on the same page
But answer my question,
about what they're doing.
Democrats would be doing the same thing if the roles were reversed, were they not?
I don't know that that's necessarily true. I know that you think that it's true.
I'm asking if you think that it's true.
No, I don't necessarily think that it's true. I think it depends entirely on who that person is. And by all accounts, this is an individual that everyone can agree on.
So are they thwarting the will of the people by no hearings, no nothing here?
I don't think they are. Look, there's a duly elected Republican Senate, and the people who elected those Republican senators do not want to see somebody who probably will be a reliable vote on those 5-4 very controversial issues put into place during the last year of a Democratic presidency when there's a chance of a Republican president next year. Although I do agree that if we have President Clinton next year, this is likely to be the high watermark of what Republicans could hope for.
Evan Horowitz wrote in the Globe this afternoon, BostonGlobe.com, the best argument for the Republicans to change their mind is Donald Trump.
Right.
Is that the likelihood of him being elected, at least as of today, is quite small. And just as you say, Hillary Clinton would probably appoint someone further left. But Kevin, let me stay with this. It's 2016. Let's assume it was 2015. There's no formal deadline. Justice Scalia died in February, correct? Let's assume he died in November of last year, or June of last year, or January of last year. Well, it's only 2 years left in the administration. This guy is not going to pick someone in Scalia's image, so we'll wait 2 years. Why not wait?
And ultimately, it's a political judgment, and I think the Republicans might draw a different line if it were earlier in the year.
Do you disagree with Andrea Cabral thinks that it's not definite that, well, she thinks that it's unlikely the Democrats to do the same thing if the tables were reversed. You agree with her?
I do, because
Why?
Because their track record has been not to be outright refusing to consider nominees.
Mitt Romney picks Ted Cruz, a brilliant lawyer,
Right.
argued before the Supreme Court many times. He picks Ted Cruz to be his Supreme Court nominee to replace Justice Scalia.
It's one
They'd say, let's have a vote?
Yes, I think they would say, let's have a vote.
Not for Ted Cruz, because they don't like Ted Cruz. They would actually say, we are not going to.
Or
Right.
they would do what they did with the Robert Bork nomination, which
Right.
is have a hearing,
And vote
have
no.
tough questions,
Right.
and vote no.
I want to ask you about
That's
one more thing
perfectly
in that
fine.
Pew poll that was
Yeah.
stunning to me, but maybe it shouldn't have been. Can we bring this up again, the racial divide? You see this, whites by a narrow margin think the Senate should hold a hearing. Blacks, 82 to 15, crushing numbers. My read on that, and I haven't read behind the Pew poll, Andrea Cabral, is blacks in this country think that the thwarting of Barack Obama's agenda is in part because of the color of his skin. Is that what that poll shows?
Yes, because they have incredibly clear and convincing evidence to that effect. Not solely because of the color of his skin, because there's also a partisan divide, but I think but that's pushback against the persistent nullification or attempt to nullify his presidency.
Will this guy be confirmed? in this year? Yes or no?
I don't know.
Will he,
I
Kevin?
don't know.
If Hillary Clinton is elected in November, he might get confirmed in December.
Interesting point. How about you?
I agree with what Kevin just said, but I think that otherwise it might be unlikely.
Andrea, it's nice to see you.
Nice to be here.
Kevin,
Thanks.
good to see you
Good to see
again.
you
Thank
too.
you so much, Renee. Pleasure.
Oh, it was
as
good to
always.
see you, Jim.